So this week, I'm going to start off with some duct tape. Because duct tape is one of the best inventions in the entire world. And if you have a garage that does not have duct tape in it, it is an incomplete garage. This was started, it was made famous in World War II, 1943. They needed some things to help with the aircraft, tie things together. They would tie boxes, wrap these, seal it so that it was more watertight. This is when it started. But it has so many different uses. Skylar, put it back to that one picture. There's great uses for duct tape. And this is just one. Hopefully, I've only used it once like that before. Not on any of my children. It's just I put you guys at ease. What if we had faith that was sticky as duct tape? That's the question for the morning. If your faith was as sticky, if you've ever done with duct tape and you just stick it to something, it's stuck there. You really have to work, and I'm not going to take that off now. It's on the hairs. But you really have to work hard to get rid of it. It sticks. It's there. This is going to be there until I take it off. Or somebody else rips all the hair off my hand. It's there. What if our faith was that sticky? In the middle of craziness in our world, it was that sticky. I had an assignment when I was a freshman in high school. I had to ask one of my grandparents, and I chose my grandma. And the question was this: what role did faith play in your life? I went to a Christian school, so they have questions like this. An interview: what role did faith play in your life? So my grandma's in here. She was born in 1906. So imagine somebody born in 1906. They lived through the roaring 20s. There was craziness out there. It was as crazy as it is nowadays. 100 years ago, the morality in the world was very similar today. Everything was up for grabs. She lived through the Great Depression. Right now we have unemployment, maybe, was it 5-6%? I don't know. Back then, in the Great Depression, a quarter of our country was unemployed, 25%. Lived through that. Lived through World War II when people were rationing everything. She lived through having 7 babies, and also 2 of them that didn't make it. There's a lot of story in her. A lot of story. She lived through the after the war in the 60s, the turmoil after that. So I asked her, what role did faith play in your life? And she goes, faith. Well, I don't remember not having faith. It was as if God was always there. He always gave us what we needed. Lived out on the farm, and we had all that we needed, and we had our family. God was good. We always had faith in Him. And it was that type of sticky faith that it's always there. He's always there. He's always going to give me what I need, even if I don't understand or I've got tough situations. And looking back at it, I'm going, you lost 2 babies. Did that not shake your faith? I never asked her that question because I didn't think of it until later in life. But did that shake your faith at all? And I'm sure she would have said, I don't remember a time that I didn't have faith in God, because He was always there. We think of our world right now. Some people I'm walking away from my faith. I can't do this anymore. There's so much terrible things going on in our world. There's an airplane falls out of the sky and 38 people die. There's wars in Gaza. There's wars in Ukraine. There's evil people that drive through the Paris streets and run over people. There's corruption in our government. There's wars that are just normal. Sex trafficking is rampant. The poor are regularly abused. I can't do this anymore. I'm giving up on my faith. What I hope for us today is that we have sticky faith. That you don't leave here saying, oh yeah, I don't even know where my faith is, that it's become sticky. It's going to be on you thick and thin. Good times and bad, it's always going to be there. That you leave here with faith in a God who is always there and always provides for your needs. And I get this idea of sticky faith from a guy named Habakkuk. Nobody names their child Habakkuk anymore unless they want them to get picked on and brutal, just like totally ostracized. He was a prophet in the Old Testament, 700 years before Jesus. Habakkuk. Habakkuk is living there, and he's seeing what's going on around him because he's saying, life isn't good where I'm at even. There's corruption in my neighborhood. Everything is crazy in my world. Where is God? And he has some questions for God. And he starts saying, God, where are you? Are you even good? Are you near us? Are you in control here? And I'll get to the verses in a couple seconds. Let me tell you what God says. He says, okay, I'm here. I'm here right by you. And what I'm going to do is going to shake your world. I'm bringing in the Babylonians and blowing up your country. I'm just going to destroy this country. My chosen people, I'm going to destroy it. There's always going to be a remnant of people. They're going to be away from this land, but I'm destroying this country. And can you imagine that? Imagine you're this prophet, that you're talking with God, saying, God, where are you? I live in the United States. It's full of corruption. There's so much greed. There's so much abuse. There's all these problems in our country. Where are you, God? And then he tells you, you know what? I know that you're having trouble with this, but I'm right here. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring another country in, and I'm going to blow it all up. I'm going to destroy your country. Because that's what God said to him. For us, that would shake us, wouldn't it? And say, wait a minute, don't go crazy here, God. I know it's bad. You don't have to go wild on me here. Then Habakkuk talks to God and says, all right, wait a minute. I trembled inside when I heard this. My lips quivered with fear. My legs gave way beneath me. I shook with terror. I will wait quietly for the coming day when disaster will strike the people who invade us. He goes, God, I heard, I didn't know your plan at first, and I was scared. Now that I know your plan, I'm even more scared. Why are you going to do this? Do you have an idea where he's going with this? What if God says that to us? Oh, you live in America, wonderful country. I'm destroying this because you don't seek me. You're abusing people that I love. You're all about greed. Everything that he said back then, it fits us. This is where Habakkuk shows us sticky faith. Because that's what we want to leave with today. We want to leave with sticky faith. This is where he goes. Verse 17, he starts this. Even though the fig trees have no blossoms, and there are no grapes on the vines, even though the olive crop fails, and the fields lie empty and barren, even though the flocks die in the fields, and the cattle barns are empty. Stop you right there. Even though these things happen, for us non-farmers, and there's nobody here who's like out in the fields normally. We're not farmers. You might know about farming, but if you don't know anything about farming, what he just describes here is destruction. Total destruction. This is an agrarian economy. All of the economy is based in food coming in, crops, livestock, and all of that's destroyed. And he goes, even then, let me put it in our world. God, even though I said till death do us part, but my wife didn't. Even though I raised my kids to know right from wrong, but they didn't follow. Even though I prayed for someone to be healed and they died. Even though I can't find a job to support my family. Even though you put the thing in there. In every situation that is not pleasant, that is not helpful to me in what my thinking. Even though, God, I don't understand what you're doing. Even though I'm in pain from what's happening. Yet. And this is where Habakkuk chooses to have sticky faith. It says, even though, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. There you go. Even though all these things are happening, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes me as surefooted as the deer, able to tread upon the heights. Even though, yet I will. I will. You notice one thing here. God doesn't explain what he's doing. He doesn't explain anything. He just says, this is what I'm going to do. God, why are you going to do this? This is what I'm going to do. I am going to destroy your nation. And he has to choose to have faith. He has to choose. This is going to happen. I'm going to choose to have, because sticky faith is a choice. You have to choose. You have to choose to have that sticky faith. Will you choose to trust in our God? Here's the thing that gets a hold of me. We really, in our world, love to say, God, if you could explain to me what you're doing, I'll have faith in you. But if you do not look at it as a professor of advanced calculus trying to explain that to a 3-year-old, you think too much of yourself. Our God could come here and say, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing and all the ramifications of what's going on. And our heads would start spinning. We wouldn't be able to grab what our God is actually doing, the rippling effect, and this is what I want to have happen. I want everybody to come back, and I want this person who's going to be affected by this person. And we would not understand it, even if he told it to us. Of course, we think that we could. Our God says, will you choose to trust me? Even when it's not going your way. Will you choose to have some sticky faith? Even though it's a bad time. Even though you would not have chosen this path. Will you choose to trust me? I want to grab this part of it. It's a choice, but also I want us to understand that sticky faith is a gift from God. Instead of saying, oh, it's all about us, it's also a gift from God. It's Romans 12 says this. One more there, Skylar. Romans 12 goes this way. Do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you. God has given each of us an amount of faith. He gives each person an amount of faith. And some, man, they're like my grandma who says, man, I've been through all of this and I still trust. And some of us go, man, I get a hangnail and I start going, what? God, where are you? It hurts. God gives us each an amount of faith. You know, I learned so much about the amount of faith God gives a person when I talked with a friend of mine who was going through some cancer. And it was stage 4. And it's terminal. He knows it. He knew he was going to die. And even in the middle of it, he still said, God, I trust you. I trust you with my family that I'm going to leave. I know that that's going to happen. I'm going to spend as much time with them as I can. I know that I'm going to leave them behind. 3 kids, a wife. I'm going to go, but I trust that you know what you're doing. I trust you have my soul in your hand, and I will be with you forever. And I trust you for my kids and my wife as well. Can we have that sticky faith? That even in the dark times, we say, I know where I'm going, and I know who's got my loved ones in his hands as well. He chose to have that sticky faith. You know, it's kind of like a stubborn person. If you are a grandparent here, I just know for a fact that you're stubborn. It's just a universal rule. I've not met any kids say, oh, my parents aren't stubborn. Or grandpa and grandma, they're not stubborn. You know, it's just a rule. I make that universal. So hopefully you're not taking that personally. I know that it is for my family. It's just a universal rule. They come out as Eenigenburgs. Oh, yep, another stubborn one. Yeah, and that's what we got. So it just goes as a rule for us. Maybe not for you, but I got a feeling. You get to your ages and you go, yeah, I'll just be that person. That's how I am. And I mean that in the best way. Especially for those who know Jesus. Because it becomes a stubborn, sticky faith. You know, you can imagine that God's making people, and some people are much more stubborn than others, but when the Spirit breaks through that stubbornness, that faith is just as stubborn. It's just as stubborn. There's nothing ripping this off me, my faith off my body. It's always going to be there. I'm going through rough times. It doesn't matter. It's there. It's on me. It's stubborn. It's sticky. It's not going anywhere. And that's what I hope for us. In the middle of it, you choose to say, God, you have given me an amount of faith. Continue to make that stickier by the day. That nothing, no matter what, will rip that off. I wish that everybody had it. You know, one of the things that I hope happens in this next year is we get to talk about faith, as in our stories of faith, on how you said, all right, God has deepened my faith this way. That I saw him here. And this is what we'll do. If you're saying, man, I grew in my faith this week, this way, I'm going to give somebody a microphone. Let's talk we'll make it sure that it's lower than like 10 minutes or so. Hopefully it's like 3 minutes. But talk about your faith, because that's where we grow in our own faith as well. We hear other people's faith stories. We hear them talk about their faith. When you go to a funeral of a Christian, someone you know knew Jesus, someone who could talk about him, Someone who wasn't afraid to say, this is me and Jesus. Yeah, we're not fighting anymore. Or we've come through this and we're solid. And we talk about, we almost reiterate a marriage vow. In this way, it's like, this person, he is no longer with us. But let me tell you what his faith was like. Way back when he said, I take you, Jesus, to be my Savior and Lord, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, until death parts me from those people that I love, and I'm with Jesus forever. We hear those faith stories, especially at funerals, but we hear faith stories that say, oh, yeah, that's the sticky faith I want. That's the sticky faith that Grandpa had or Grandma had. That's what I want. God, give me that faith. Which is always a dangerous thing to ask, that God, give me more faith, because he puts you in situations that he goes, all right, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to trust me? Are you going to choose to trust me? Are you going to choose to have sticky faith? You know, we're going to sing. We sang this song, "Firm Foundation." It's a faith story. I'll just read it. I'm not going to sing it to you. I'll read it to you. Christ is my firm foundation. He's the rock on which I stand. When everything around me is shaken, I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, because he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. That's a faith story. Maybe that's our faith story, that our God will not fail. He's always been there. He will always give me what I need. And his promises are true. I will be with him forever. You know, my hope is that you have one of three choices to go from here. You have one of three choices to do with your faith. You can do one thing. You can take your sticky faith and you can tape it to those mountaintop experiences. Oh, I've been to this conference. Oh, it was great up there. That's where my faith is. And that's what some people do. And then they find their way into the valleys. And times get tough. And they say, wait a minute. God, we're supposed to be up on the mountaintops here. This isn't what I signed up for. And they say, okay, I'm done. You can do it that way. And then the next mountaintop experience you have, you say, oh, I'm back with you. I'm back with you, Jesus. Some people go the route of just giving up. They just say, all right, I am so done with you, God. You've let things happen in my life that I'm not happy with. And they just take their faith, ball it up, throw it away. I'm done with it. Rip it off, crinkle it, and throw it. Because they're just not ready for it anymore. I don't want any of this faith thing. I don't want this sticky faith. I don't choose that, because that's hard. This is what I recommend. I recommend a sticky faith no matter what. Choosing no matter what. That even though, yet I will. That you grab your duct tape, sticky faith, and you tape yourself to Jesus. And I'm with him. We're not going anywhere. I got to get this off. Good, there he goes. You're not going anywhere. You're taped to Jesus. There's no getting loose. I'm choosing every day to make sure that that's on there. that He's always with you. And it doesn't matter where you go because He goes with you. You can go from here to the store. Well, He's already there. He's waiting for you, and He's in the car with you on over. He's watching how you drive, which is a scary thought right there. He's always with you. He's always going to provide. We're going to close with this last song. Now, I have the worship team come on up. It talks about a sticky faith. It talks about a faith that we choose to stick with because it's a gift from God. It's called Yes, I Will. And we've sung it here before, and I don't think we've ever connected it to like a sticky faith. It's yes, I will. And this is how it goes. It goes, I count on one thing. The same God that never fails will not fail me now. He won't fail me now. In the waiting, the same God who's never late is working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. It's a choosing of sticky faith. That's my hope for us for this coming year, that we leave with a sticky faith that no matter what, I am with my God.